What's up, people? I started it over, you know, you know what I'm saying. Yeah. Um, what really sparked me to do this video was it was I saw a video, a gold digger prank video, and I hear a lot of what the Khazar people. Let me say this here. From what I'm looking at, they came from you. They was in, some in Ukraine, Ukrainian, um, Turkey, dialect group by the Khazars groups of some uh, Turkish people originated from Central Asia. Okay, Central Asia. There are a few written records of the languages, and its features and characteristics are unknown. Okay, so I just got that out of the way. That's what it said. That's what, they're from Central Asia. There are a few written records of the languages, and its features and characteristics are unknown. Okay, but this is a book right here. I got it today. I received it in the mail, and I haven't got that. I guess it was reference to what I was studying, and I ran across it, and it was like a free thing that they, so maybe it was the Most High allowed me to get it. It's called the Khazar Empire and its heritage. Alter Case Kosa, whatever, the 13th tribes. They trying to make it like, now that's stupid of them. You can never take and push something and make the Bible say something that it didn't say. I don't see how they can do that. How they think in their mind that they can actually take the Bible and change it from what God said to a 13th tribe. How stupid that is. The Bible says 12 tribes. There's nowhere in the Bible you're going to find where he created a 13th tribe. There's nowhere. You can't find that nowhere in the records and history of the Bible. So whoever made that, the person that made that up, they clown themselves, and they really look stupid. Especially the people who knows the truth, they living in this world, and they expose themselves as liars, and the whole world see them as liars. And those are the Caucasian people lying. That's that, not knowing that you can't hide nothing from the Most High. Okay, what really sparked me to do this video? Tonight I watched the video on YouTube. I watch a lot of the gold digger video. They call them gold digger pranks. And basically, a gold digger is somebody that looks at a man, and instead of, they not really interested in building a relationship or really getting to know them and wanna like be there for the person mentally. They see him for the benefits of what he got. They basically want to date a man based upon materialistic things of what he got, of what they can get out of him and stuff. That's what a gold digger is. Somebody that wants you for what you got. They look at you as material, as the material things that you got, and they want to try to finesse you for your material possessions and stuff of the things that you got, and not you as a person. So that's one definition of a like gold digger. But I want to explain something to our women out there, that the reason why this going on, because they make some statements that it's like they blaming it on the so-called Hispanics, blacks, and Native American man. And if you look at this title, you can kind of get a general idea of what's going on. I'm gonna explain myself. Hold on. What is a gold digger? A person who forms a relationship with another party to extract money from them. That's it. A person who forms a relationship with another party is to extract money from them. This is pocketing with gold diggers. A person who forms a relationship with another party to extract money from them, to get material things, or extract material things from them. Just what it says, and nothing else. That's what a gold digger means. Okay. In the video, I was listening to the woman. When she turned around and she saw the man's car, she came back and said, well, the guy asked her, if I wouldn't have had this car, would you still would have came back? If I would have went to a regular car like a Honda Accord, or if I was just whatever, and I lost everything, do you think you still would have came back and talked to me or whatever? In so many words, she was saying she was about her money, and she was really like one of them honest people. And she said, well, this particular woman said, no, I still would have came back. If I'm about my money, he got to be about his money. I don't want no, she said, I don't want no broke man. I don't want no, most niggas, she said it like that, most niggas are broke. And that's a slave. That's the term, a slave label that they gave our so-called black men. You see what I'm saying? In slavery, doing slavery. Because you have to understand, you cannot blame the so-called black, Hispanic, and Native American man for not having nothing. You're saying, well, most niggas ain't this rich. And to me, that right there is a word that they put out there for us, is to fight against each other and put their word out there. Because you have to understand, so-called black, Hispanic, and Native American men have never had or owned anything. It's like we woke up and we was born into this poverty. So-called black, Hispanic, and Native American men, we didn't wake up, and I can speak on that part. I didn't wake up and say, you know what, I want to be surrounded in a poor community. No, these things were stripped from us, was forced from us. We didn't go out there and make a choice. A black man did not make a choice to say, you know what, I want to be stripped down poor, and I don't want to have nothing. You have to understand the history behind this here was the biggest key word, is what I was mentioning. The history and the key word behind so-called Hispanic, blacks, and Native American man, if you're looking at our men as like they ain't got shit and all that kind of stuff, that's wrong to do that, because you have to understand, during slavery, our forefathers and foremothers was raped, robbed, and murdered through the Europeans. The European man have always had an advantage. He's the number one man. You had other nations that put our people in slavery too, but the Europeans are the number one, and the first and foremost, and the number one group, and the most powerful people on the planet that have taken and went around the world, and they raped, robbed, and murdered everybody and took everybody's resources. That's what our women have to understand. They can't keep going around here and using that term that so-called black men have did this, and I ain't never seen a rich nigga. That's stupid. That is stupid. And I'm saying it for the educational purposes because you're making a mockery at your own people when you do that. You have to understand that the black man never controlled the economic system. The so-called black man, Hispanic and Native American man, never controlled the resource system, the educational resources system. Our people never owned that type of stuff. When we was born into this world, born in here in America, most of us was born here in poverty. If you look out right now outside, you probably can't see because it's dark. We live, yeah, it's still dark. You see the lights, but I show it in the morning. Most of us, I live in a community all my life to where everybody in this neighborhood, look, let me tell you something. If people in this neighborhood, blacks, Hispanics, black people that live in here, us, do you think we would be living in here do you think we just woke up one day and say, hey, you know what? I want to make a choice to go pay some rent. No, we wouldn't do that. I didn't want to come here. And the reason I'm saying this here for educational purposes. Because, see, the difference between the blacks, Hispanics, and Native American man, see, we don't have a choice. It's to live in the condition that we've been living in for decades. But the so-called white man, they can make a choice to be in poverty, or they can make a choice to go and live in the best of the best, or go in a rich neighborhood and have their own home and have several cars, trucks, and airplanes and stuff like that. They children and white children can leave here right now and take thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, $10,000, and go on a vacation. And they can come back home when they get ready. They can stay long gone if they want to. They can leave the country with no problem because their ancestors, they got money that they never going to see. You see what I'm saying? That they're not going to spend. So you can't sit around here and say, oh, the black man, he ain't got shit, and he ain't got, and then just downplay our people, us, like that. You see what I'm saying? Because we never, if we go out there and make money and go out there and get the bag, we still got to go to the bigger power is to receive it. And we can't get no more than whatever rule they set. Like, okay, you're going to make $20 an hour, you're going to make $10 an hour, you're going to make $15 an hour, you're going to make $70 an hour, you're going to make $70 a day or whatever. Then that's the only way you can build your empire up. But at the end of the day, the white man, the so-called white man, the Caucasian man, they control all of that. That's what our people need to understand. When people go around and they go to saying things like, well, girl, I got me a white man. Or I got, I got me, oh, they so nice to me. They treated me real good. And of course, they always have been in positions is to do that. They always have had money. They was born. You ask a white child now, coming up, ask a so-called white woman or a so-called white man, ask them how did they come up when they was a child. I guarantee you they not gonna be, most of them, when they look at Deuteronomy chapter 28, they'll be consumed they'll be consumed if they read Deuteronomy 28. They won't be able to relate to Deuteronomy. I guarantee they won't be able to read nothing in that Bible and read nothing in Deuteronomy, especially Deuteronomy 28, where it talks about the curses, and say, oh, that's talking about my people. My people went into slavery. My people went into this captivity, this slavery. Hell no. They're not going to be able to relate to that because the word of God was not given to them. So this is what our women, they are misinformed on this part. They need to just wake up and come to a reality and realize that once they come to, until they come to that realization, they're going to always go out and be blind and blame and say, we ain't this, and the so-called black man ain't that, and the so-called black man ain't this here. When you had a system in power for decades, you see what I'm saying? So that's what they need to understand. Slavery. Have you ever heard of slavery, right? You see what I'm saying? I'm still reading on this book, and I'm still reading on this here. I mean, I just got this today, my bad. And I'm gonna, I gotta look. Some of the words are pretty tough, but I believe I'm gonna make it through it. You know what I'm saying? Because I came up to where I couldn't read or write or none of that. You know what I mean? I just got to teach myself how to spell. I ain't gonna lie. My spelling ain't good at all, but I'm gonna have to work. I'm gonna work on that too. You know what I'm saying? But I want to reiterate this again and make sure I make this clear. When that woman said, "Well, I ain't never in my life dated a rich nigga," you know, stuff like that, which it sounds stupid for them to even say. They don't realize that when we say things like that, it's putting a bad reflection on us when we say things like that. That would be like me sitting up here saying, "I ain't never had no rich female, no rich B," and all that kind of stuff. You see what I'm saying? That's stupid for me to even think like that. So I ain't never had a rich woman. That you realize how stupid I be making myself, not knowing that we as blacks, Hispanics, and Native American people don't control nothing. You see what I'm saying? The black man has never. We don't control these economic systems. Just like I was saying earlier, we don't control the educational resource center. We don't control the what's the other one I want to say? The grants, where they give you grants and stuff. The so-called black man, Hispanic, and Native American man don't control that. The Europeans control all of that, because you can go into their history. You can go into the history of and look at what their ancestors have done and how they got everything that they got. They got it through rape, rob, and murder, and stealing and stuff. And the so-called white man, they benefit off of the Caucasian people today. They'll try to say, "Well, I didn't do it, my ancestors did it." When you clearly got scriptures in the Bible that says that even though they didn't do it personal, they still are the offspring of those people that caused that, and they according to them, the Bible, they got to get the judgment. They got to pay for what their ancestors done. It's like saying somebody got to pay for that bill. Somebody got to pay that bill. His children got to pay that bill, right? You see what I'm saying? It's just like saying, if you go to a restaurant and you invite 20 people to come with you, and you say you're gonna pay the bill, you lie to all them people, make them think you're gonna pay that bill at that restaurant. Let's say if I get up and walk out, right, and them 20 people still in there thinking I'm gonna pay for that bill. The people in the restaurant gonna hold somebody reliable. The people that's there, it's gonna affect them. Somebody gonna have to be responsible for the bill, even though I escaped it. But still, the people, my offspring that I invited in there, they got to be responsible. They gonna hold them reliable. They'll say, "Okay, since they left, one of y'all, somebody got to pay for the bill." They gonna hold whoever's reliable in that situation. It's just like, let's say, like, if let's just reverse this here. Let's reverse it. Let's play this hypothetical thing, right? Let's say if I was a man, I had children, right? If I had children, and I grew up, and my forefathers, let's say if my forefathers broke in a so-called Caucasian person's house, did all kind of violence to their children, took all their resources, their money, and everything from them Caucasian people, right? And if I die and that stuff passed on to my children, and they raise their children up and say, "Well, how did your ancestors," and my great grandchildren say, "Well, how did my great granddaddy get all these resources?" Well, they raped, robbed, and murdered and stole it from the so-called black, Hispanic, and Native American. If they are honest and righteous people, they would say, "No, I don't want to live off of that." You see what I'm saying? If the knowledge comes to their head and be like, "Damn, my forefathers took and stole this from these people," If I'm an honest man, I would have to give this stuff back. I don't care even if my ancestors did this been 8 centuries ago or 9 centuries ago. I'm reading about my granddaddy. I'm just saying, I'm just making it, I'm just speaking hypothetical and or whatever. I'm reading about my granddaddy took and raped, robbed, and murdered and took all this from these people here. Hell no, I don't want to have nothing to do. This is blood money. This wasn't gotten the right way. This is stolen. So I'm uncomfortable with that. So I need to give this back to these people. So that's what they should do for our people. We've been in a poor poverty condition all our whole life, right? So if they benefited off of it, of course they have a right is to pay for it. You see what I'm saying? And God holds the ancestors today that's living off of what they forefathers did centuries ago. Of course they supposed to be held reliable because they still benefiting off of it. What they ancestors did and what they ancestors put in place. It's like saying it's a generation of negative. It's a generation of curse, right? Just like we are paying for what our folks, we're benefiting off of poverty. We're benefiting off of poverty because our forefathers broke the commandments of God, right? So we're benefiting off of the poverty. We're in poverty because they paved the way and rebelled against God, and so that's how we end up being in poverty. So these things that we are facing right now are like repeated patterns, and we're suffering off of those dishonest things, what they have done by not keeping God's commandments. You see what I'm saying? It's a vice versa thing. Just like the so-called white man. They living off of wealth and they never been poor. They was born in wealth. We was born in poverty. See, the thing about born in poverty and born into wealth is two different things. Just like you cannot being joining to be in poverty, joining poverty. You see what I'm saying? And born into it and joining to be in poverty, convert to poverty or whatever, is two different things. See, there's a difference. See, they have the so-called white man, they have a choice is to be poor. See, they women, the so-called white, if you look at they women, they women will never have to say, well, the so-called the white, do you think, have you ever heard a so-called white woman or a so-called Chinese or East Indian man say, these well, I don't know the name that they would call an East Indian, because see, you ain't gonna see them call the Ethiopian ain't gonna call the women out their name. Neither is an Ethiopian woman gonna call the Ethiopian man out of his name. The so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, especially the so-called blacks, will call a black woman will call a black man out of his name in a minute. That nigga ain't the nigga ain't got shit. But they don't understand that the reason why the black man ain't got shit is because the European, the so-called white man, raped, robbed, and murdered, and went around and raped, robbed, and murdered our forefathers. That's the reason why we don't have that. You ain't never heard no white woman say, this so-called white hunky motherfucking man, he ain't got shit. All she'll be able to do is say, the so-called white man, our forefathers always had wealth. They was born into wealth. They was born into this here. That's what she'll be able to say. You ain't never heard no so-called white woman say, this so-called white man, this white hunky ain't never had nothing. He was always poor. He ain't got shit. You know what I'm saying? She ain't never had to say that. They never had to say that about they race of men. Versus our people has to say, our women say this about us. They'll say something like, a black woman to say, a so-called black woman, well, so-called black man is I don't date no mama's boy, not knowing that we was damaged, our people. It's not saying that we trying to sit up and use it as an excuse or not, but they have to understand most of the stuff that we go through, we don't have to join it. We born into this here, which means we was already naturally built and made for this here. We didn't have to join nothing. We didn't have to join no poor organization to be poor. We didn't have to join no black. We didn't have to join no poverty community. We was already born into this. You see what I'm saying? We was born into not having enough food in the house. Well, we had to live off rice and butter. We was born into that. You see what I'm saying? We didn't have to go and join nothing or no organization for that. We didn't have to go and say, I want to join this organization and be poor and see what it feel like. No. It's just naturally we was born. It's like us laying down and we wake up and we got all these people surrounded us. We wait, what the hell? It's like we waking up out of sleep. And when I say waking up out of sleep, it's like waking up out the womb. You wake up from your slumber and you surrounded by a bunch of junk. You surrounded in a poverty poor condition. I'm just using that as a parable. You see what I'm saying? But the so-called white man, when they children wake up physically, like born, come out the womb, they come out the womb rich. They come into the world rich. They come here not knowing. They born into hell. They born into green money. They born into nice cars and nice airplanes, and nice trips and expensive $10,000 and stuff. They are born into that. I mean, they are born into wealth. You see what I'm saying? To where a so-called black man, the reason he don't, that's why when I hear a lot of people speak about these on YouTube, I said they don't understand the real psychological damage done behind that. The reason why the black man got from where they got to that point. It's all because of slavery. You see what I'm saying? But see, the so-called white man, they got to go, just like they got to go and join the military. It's to be warriors. But see, we don't have to go and do nothing. We just naturally, we just outspoken with our mouth. If something ain't right, we naturally be ready to go and cuss you out and do all kind of like we get that. Why you think they have when they pull you over in a police car, right? Why do you think a few minutes later you may see another police pop up? That happened with me. They stop you for something, and then maybe a couple of minutes later another one pull up. Then another couple of minutes later another one pull up. You know why they do that? Because they know that we are naturally born and made to want if we have to. They know that we're naturally built. Our hands is naturally built and made for war. They know that. That's why they have handcuffs. Why you think they handcuffed George Floyd like the way that they did so that they can take advantage of him? Because they knew if he wouldn't have been in them cuffs, they knew they couldn't have did that. They knew that they couldn't have done him like that. 2 or 3 people can jump on him and he still can survive the fight. He still can survive them and get them off of you. But they know if they got handcuffs on you, they know that you can't do much of nothing. Because they know you're disabled. When they put the handcuffs on you, you just like a 2 or 3 year old. You can't do nothing. You see what I'm saying? So they disable you into a 2 or 3 year old child. That's why they put the handcuffs on you. So they know that you don't have the power, the physical power. They know with your hand, they know with our natural hand, we can do damage with our natural hand. You see what I'm saying? I don't care how small we are. Like, I'm not a fat person, but you get what I'm saying. It's like they know that we can, no matter how small we are, no matter how small our hands are, all they know is that we are so-called people of color. We're so-called Hispanic, blacks, and natives of America, they know that we have that natural instinct to where we can, at any point in time, they know that we don't need no physical weapons because we are born, our hands and things are born. I'm just making an example. Our hands, natural hands, are born and made to be warrior like. You see what I'm saying? They know this. So that's why they have to have more than one so-called police officer and all that type of stuff. So-called white men is to pull up in them police cars. Because they know it's going to take 2, 3 can't handle one of us at one time. Without, if they didn't have their handcuffs, if they didn't have them swords, them guns, the modern day swords, which is the gun and the mace and the blackjacks or whatever you call that shit, you take away the tanks, the guns, and all of that, they ain't got no power. Why do you think they have to have all of that? Because they know that those things are used is to control and protect them. That's their only power that they got. Outside of the gun and all of that, them weapons, they ain't got no power. They don't, and they know that. See, they have to go and join something in order to be a warrior. We can just be natural and be warriors. We can be walking and never been into a fight with nobody. Hardly. Never got into nothing. And can be the most powerful person there is when it comes to getting down and protecting your family, because they know that it's naturally in us to do all these things. We are a lot more stronger, a lot more faster in basketball and all of that. Even if we don't even play, we don't even like basketball, we get that basketball, we gonna do something with it. We gonna be pretty good. Like, damn, they ain't never shot no ball before. Just like me. I'm going to give you an example. I ain't never in my life made a cooked cabbage a day in my life. Never had nobody to show it to me. Never watched no videos. None of that. Never watched no kind of videos or no nothing. A potato salad. Oh, I can cook. I can cook anything I want. You see what I'm saying? But I never watch nobody make potato salad. I made it the first time and I was in my 20s. People loved it. They said, man, what you did to this? I said, nothing. I just put it together. And it tasted like a professional potato salad. I'm serious. And cabbage the same way. I said, damn, I had nobody. I ain't never had nobody to show me how to fix cabbage. None of that. Nobody. I ain't had to watch nobody for just for that. Now, some things I did. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying. I'm just using that as an example. But cooking cabbage, nobody never showed me how to cook cabbage. People loved my cabbage, and those cabbages was very professional cooked. They were seasoned just right. They wasn't over salted. They wasn't over seasoned. None of that. People, how did you do this? I said, well, I just tried something out, and it's just naturally good. We are naturally good with our hand. Why Mexicans tried to claim they built the pyramids when we all know blacks did that. The way that you can, okay, there's a scripture in Genesis. There's a scripture in Genesis. Yeah. Somebody said it sound like some good cabbage. Yeah. I ain't never had nobody show me how to cook cabbage. Never had nobody, never watched a video, never nobody, none of that. I went in the kitchen and I don't know what happened with my hands. And everybody loved them cabbages. They said, man, what you did? How you did that? I said, well, I just went in there and just seasoned them. Just put a little margarine in them a little bit, shook the water off or whatever, and then just let them just slow cooked on a medium heat, and put I ain't they wasn't over seasoned. They was perfect. And I said I ain't never had nobody show me how to do it. Never. And they was just they looked. It's like they was like how in the hell was he able to do this in? And he ain't never had no. It's just now what I'm trying to show you is it's just something. I heard the Jaws built the Jews built the pyramids. It doesn't seem possible. Oh yeah, the Mexicans did. Let me get that out the box. Let me get that history in Genesis. This is the scripture that a lot of the other Hebrew brothers go to. So I'm still trying to get familiar with it too, but I'm gonna show. I'm gonna read this. Here it is right here. Genesis chapter 49 and verse I think let's see where I'm at. Issachar, here it is. Je, Genesis chapter 49:14. It says Issachar is a strong ass, couching down between two burdens. He said Issachar is a strong ass, couching down between two burdens. Let's break that part down. Now that's the Mexican, because Issachar, the God describes Issachar as a strong ass. It says, look, listen. It says Issachar is a strong ass, couching down between two burdens. Meaning that you remember how a donkey, right? Let's take the example of a donkey. A donkey works extremely hard. They be pulling and plow. And Issachar, the so-called Mexicans, they worked very hard. If you look at the Mexicans now, you see that they work very hard. And that's their history. You see what I'm saying? So that's how you know that when they read that, it's actually talking about Issachar, the Mexicans, because they very, very dedicated into working hard. They hard workers. So they did help build the pyramid, just like everything right now, just like these apartments here. Mexicans built these apartments here, these very apartments here. So when it say Issachar is a strong ass, couching down between two burdens, he saw that rest was good, and the land that it was pleasant, and bowed his shoulder to bear, and became a servant unto tribute. Let's read that again. And he saw that rest was good, and in the land that it was pleasant, and bowed his shoulder to bear, and became a servant unto tribute. He was a servant. That's what it was talking about. So this is actually speaking of the Mexicans. And then it says, Dan shall judge his people as one of the tribes of Israel. Okay? And they got another scripture where it says, here it is, Genesis 49 verse 10. The scepter okay. It says Judah verse Genesis chapter 49 verse 8. Judah, thou art he whom thy brother shall praise. Thy hand shall be in the neck of thy enemies, for thy father's children shall bow down before thee. Judah is a lion whelp. From the prey, my son, thou art gone up. and he stooped down. He couched as a lion and as an old lion. Who shall rouse him up? It says, who shall rouse him up? That means rouse him up means being bold, just like that Mexican did when he went and took revenge and stabbed Derek Chauvin, I believe he was, 22 times for what he did to George Floyd. That was the revenge that he was trying to take on, that he took on George Floyd for, that Derek Chauvin for doing what he did to George Floyd. So Issachar said, who shall rouse him up? So that's going into, a lot of us going to rise, slowly rising up and going to be bold. Do you believe that the current rap music is a very negative influence on young black children? Yeah, yeah. Because, like, if you look in the African American community, you can see that, like they said, a high time murder amongst us, and that is part of the curses that is in Deuteronomy chapter 28. You see what I'm saying? Yes. Yes, I definitely can relate to that part when it, you know what I'm saying? Yes. Yeah. The music and stuff in the industry and stuff like that, certain type of music, yeah, it can take an effect, and that it has took an effect on our on our youth and stuff, yeah. You know. Now y'all, I'm still learning myself. I don't know everything because I'm still trying to learn too, you know. You know, not just for the sake of just being humble. I don't know everything, you know. But the only thing what sparked me to do this video is I saw a gold digger prank video, and the woman was saying, well, I want me a rich, I never hardly rarely see a rich nigger and all that kind of stuff, a rich nigger. But I said, you have to understand is that the so-called black man did not have the resources, and the Hispanic and Native American man did not have the resources like Caucasian people, like the what you call those people, the Asian people and all those people, because they all lived off of all of them. All the other ones had a hand in the slave trade as well too, and all of them had benefited off of rape, robbery, murder, and slavery of the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans slavery. If you look at the history, you know what I'm saying, you can understand, pretty much get a understanding of why the so-called black men don't own no kind of resources. They don't own these corporate offices and these what you call these other places. It's a lot of them, man. You know what I'm saying? Black men don't own all that type of stuff. The so-called European man is the number one powerful controlling power. They control everything. We know it, we see it, bro. They own the bank. The Jewish man, the Ashkenaz man, own the banks, bro. I believe the only way to turn things around for our community is strong two parent household. And forgive me on the last emphasizing of education. Okay, yeah, cause see, we don't control nothing, because at the end of the day, if we go and work and save up money, like they say, if you want to grind, if you want to be a rich person, if you want to do all this thing, you got to get out there and grind. You got to work hard and save your money. But see, the so-called white man, they ain't got to do all that type of stuff. They own everything. So it's no such thing. If you own something and you say, I got to go out and work hard for something, you already own everything. It wouldn't make no sense for him. It's not a curse for him to go out and work because his ancestors own everything. All them people in that presidential and all of that, them people own everything. They control that. They ain't got to go out and say, well, I got to go out here and work hard and grind hard. That's only for so-called blacks, Hispanic, and Native American, so-called people of color. You know what I mean? Because we got to go out there and work what they call from 9 to 5 for them. You know what I'm saying? So if you own something, how you going to be poor and you own everything? What you going to do, put yourself in poverty and still own a lot of stuff? You're choosing to live like that. You can choose to be poor. They can choose to be poor. But a lot of people ain't going to look at it like that. They're not going to see it that way. But it's right in your face every day. That white man, he can choose to be poor. They can choose to be rich. You see what I'm saying? They can make a choice whether to live in a poor community. Just like here. Do you think I wanted to live in here? In these apartments? I'm going to be honest. I'm going to keep it all the way funky. I didn't want to live in here. But I had no other choice but to come in here. But I tell myself every day, I said, you know what? I didn't want to live in here. I say it every day. I don't want to live in here. But I had no other choice. I had to take the quick route. The emergency case. But see, they can make a choice to go live where they want to live. We just got to take whatever we can get because we don't control everything. Do you think I'm going to automatically just sit up here and be like, well, you know what? I'm glad, you know what? I want to stay poor. If I can come out this shit tomorrow, I'll do it. I didn't make no choice to say, oh, you know what? I want to be poor and live in the African American community. I didn't do that. I didn't wake up one day and say, you know what, mama? I want to live in a poor community and I don't want my father in my life. How stupid would that be? See how stupid that sounds? You know, I ain't had to wake up and say, you know what, mama? I hope you be a single parent one day. The white people living in poverty is, and the reason that they is living in poverty is because the curses is falling on them. Let me show you something. Let me answer that in the Bible. Let's answer that. Let's go to Deuteronomy 30. I bet you your question will get answered with this. I guarantee you your questions will get answered with this. Deuteronomy chapter 30. Deuteronomy chapter 30 and verse 7. It says, and the Lord thy God will put all these curses upon thy enemies and on them that hate thee, which persecutest thee. It's going to come a time, because right here in Deuteronomy 1, I kind of got to the meat, heart, and matter when you answer the question. But if you read Deuteronomy 30 up to 7, I guarantee you'll have an understanding of what you just wrote in the chat. It says, Deuteronomy 31, and it shall come to pass, when all these things are come upon thee, the blessings and the curses, which I have set before thee, thou shalt call them to mind amongst all the nations, whether the Lord thy God had driven thee, and shall return unto the Lord thy God, and shall obey his voice, according to all that I have commanded thee this day, that thou and thy children with all thy heart and with all thy soul, that then the Lord thy God will turn thy captivity, that means slavery, and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations. That's talking about the scattered nations in Spain, Portugal, England, Ukraine, everywhere, nation, whether the Lord thy God had scattered thee. You see what I'm saying? If any of thy of thy be driven out unto the uttermost parts of heaven, from hence will the Lord thy God gather thee, and from thence will he fetch thee. Verse 5. And the Lord thy God will bring thee unto the land which thy fathers possessed, and thou shalt possess it, and he will do thee good, and multiply thee above thy fathers. And the Lord thy God will circumcise thy heart. That means he will change you. You will make changes in your life, and the heart of thy seed, to love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul, that thou mayest live. And the Lord thy God will put all these curses upon thy enemies. He said he gonna put all these curses upon thy enemies, and on them that hate thee, which persecutest thee. Notice the word. He said, and the Lord thy God will put all these curses upon thy enemies. So when you made the statement right here, you says, do you think that the white people living in poverty in a place like West Virginia are a similar situation to our intercity communities? There you have it right here. Deuteronomy 30 verse 7. And the Lord thy God will put all these curses upon thy enemies, and on them that hate thee, which persecutest thee. So that's what you just said. This is actually is in the Bible. If you see that, and you see this is happening to so-called white people, according to the Bible right here, Deuteronomy 30 verse 7, that's you're seeing the fulfilling of this prophecy. Things is reversing when you see that. What is that? God isn't real. You're shadow. What is that, shattering? You sound like my nephew. I mean, I ain't meant to, but just like you remind me of my nephew who said, you know what I'm saying. But Deuteronomy 7 and 7, that's the only thing that I can come up with. You know? Do you think that the white people living in poverty in places like West Virginia are in a similar situation to our intercity communities? Deuteronomy 7 verses 1 through 7 will answer that question. When you get an opportunity, read Deuteronomy 30 verses 1 through 7. I guarantee you, and keep reading it. It says, let me read it one more time. I'm just going to reiterate. And the Lord thy God will put all these curses upon thy enemies, and on them that hate thee, which persecutest thee. He said he's going to take all these curses from off of our people, us. And he said the way that we live, then they must get it back for the conditions that they allow us to be in, our people to be in. What is that? Shelter? What is that? Hold on. Some of the words is, to me, is like they might be solid, so I don't want to say it wrong. Thanks for your input. I had got to sleep. Take care, brother. Well, I was supposed to be in sleep too. You see what I'm saying? But I was I woke back up at 1, and something just was on me to do this video. So hopefully the video don't sound like it's you know what I'm saying. Hopefully somebody can get it. So I'm gonna get up out of here, y'all. I'm gonna see y'all later.